Hello, my channel mammals. I have a little story to tell you about the lemon basil cake that I made, and you saw a video about it. But unfortunately, I told the story when we were down in the new shipping department serving the cake, and it got cut out because there was so much commotion going on that you couldn't even hear the story. So I thought it was the most important part, and only reason I would have shown you the video of the cake was this story, because it's come to mean a lot to me. Well, here's what happened. Remember I told you that I made a chocolate basil cake a few different times, and I think I even made one online for you. But anyway, I had made the most exquisite frosting for it, and it was a buttercream frosting made with an infusion of basil. I had to simmer it on the cooker for so many hours and then let it sit overnight, and it was just like being the most elegant chef I've ever thought I could be. And it made this soft, beautiful, soft green color of the stain of the vine, and it was just gorgeous. Well, I had enough of it, and it was just so delicious that I saved what I didn't need, of course, to use on the next cake I would be making, because I thought, oh, I could use this on anything. And so I was all ready to use it, because I made this new cake with the fine grating of the lemon and the fine chopping of the basil. And so I got the frosting out of the ice box. It wasn't in the freezer, just in the ice box. But you know, with butter, it firms up, it gets hard. So I thought, well, it was a sunny day. It wasn't a warm day, but the sun was shining. So I kind of tucked it behind a ladderway that goes up the outside of the ship from the rub rail up to the passenger deck. And I tucked it, and it was in a tall plastic container, you know, the tall kind. So it tucked into the first rail of the ladderway. And between that and the side of the ship, the bulwark of the ship. And I thought, I'll let it just sit here glowing in the sunshine for a short time, and that will soften it up. So I went back to check on it when I thought the sun had maybe passed, or it was probably time. And just as I got there, there was a flurry of animals. Every animal in the water and in the air was watching this parade going across the lines leading to the ship. Different possums, raccoons, geese, gulls. Everybody was there watching this incredible parade of them taking this frosting across the line to the land. I was absolutely stunned. I'd never seen anything like it. I was shocked. I was so disappointed, because I wanted to have the cake was ready. I wanted to ice it and bring it down to the boys down below working in the new shipping department. And everything just fell through. Well, a new boat boy girl named Lexi said, Victoria, all is not lost. You can go to any market, and they'll have little containers of already made frosting. And there's a buttercream one it's the best tasting one of all of them. And you can get it, she said, it comes in all different brands, and it's just wonderful. So I just thought, oh, I can't do that. I've never even used a cake mix. I just felt so betraying the homemade cake that I thought was so pretty. And so it turned out that I decided to be quiet for a minute and stop being so high and mighty and so proud. And I just thought, you know, this isn't childlike, this isn't trusting, and this isn't, you know, anything that I want to be. So I thought, I'm going to listen to this beautiful young girl's suggestion and just do it and see how it is. So I hopped in the truck and drove up to what we call the store that knows the neighborhood, because that's the slogan that they write. And I went in and I looked in the department where they have cakes and things, boxed cakes and so forth. And there was the icing. And there was there was a buttercream, like she said. And it was one of the major brands that people buy. So I thought, okay. So I bought 2 little containers and ran back to the boat and opened them up in the car, in the drive, as I was driving, because I was so curious to see what they were like. And the consistency was absolutely perfect. It was just dreamy. But when I put it to my tongue, I was so disappointed. It was so sweet, I could barely have it. And it didn't have, it had a taste of chemicals. You know, I'm not a fussy person, but it just didn't taste like my wonderful basil infused homemade buttercream frosting. So I thought, well, all right, I'm just going to keep trusting. And I went back to the boat, and all of a sudden I got this idea to put the frosting into that fast mixer called the Vitamix. I put both tins of it in the Vitamix. I had lemon juice left over from making the cakes. Remember, they had lemon juice in them and lemon rind. And so I put that in, and I had just little bits of leaves left of the basil. And I put it into the blender with the buttercream. And it made the most beautiful expression. It was a soft pale green with little specks of dark green in it, just specks. And it was so delicious. The lemon and the herb just took away anything that was in my way. It made it less sweet, and it made it have this wonderful, one-of-a-kind flavors. So I spread it on the cake, and I was so thrilled. I was so grateful. And I just wanted to tell you the story. Again, as I always say, it's not that I'm teaching you how to do something, but rather some thought on how to think and how to be childlike and how to be humble and how not to have such strong opinions about food in general. You know, just appreciate what comes to you and make it work. And I'd never done that before. I know lots of people do make alterations with cake mixes and so forth, but I'd never done anything like that. So I was very, very grateful for that. And I just loved the idea. It was like a healing, because it lifted my thought above my quote quasi-sophisticated knowledge and righteousness. And I just think it made me the true child of God, and the reward was instant. The other thing I didn't get to show you, because the girl who suggested that, it's the first time she'd ever shot a video. And usually the thing I find with someone who's just doing it for the first time is they're timid. So she would hold back. She wouldn't go up close or insist on seeing what I was doing. But what I did is I took the stalks, because when I went to Bob and Emily's house to get the last little dribbles of basil before the frost, there were these tall, gnarly stalks with a few little growths coming off of them, and they were just horrible looking. And that's actually where I got those leaves to use, because I stuck the stalks into the top of the cake. And that's what I was telling you I was going to share with you, because I didn't know about the icing and the frosting problem. So at the time, what I wanted to show you was that cake decorating technique. It doesn't have to be flowers. It doesn't have to be happy birthday. It doesn't have to be any of the things that we think can make a cake fun. In fact, this man from one of our boat boys from Spain, a very sophisticated man who's traveled the world and eaten in all the kingdoms. He was shocked at this. He said, look at the, he was so shocked at what I had used to, because it looked beautiful. It looked like a, I don't know, one of those, I don't know, jungles that kind of grow up in a swamp. It just looked like these strange things holding on to dear life. And they just looked wonderful, towering above the cake. Long, scrawny stalks with a few, like, last little leaves hanging on, just a few. And it was just beautiful. So that's really the point of the video. And I hope you listen to this video, because this is all that it means. Thank you.